All right, Dan, here we are. Friday Night Blitz, week 9. What do you think? We got some good
I've
games going on?
got some good games. Yeah,
Yep.
all over the place as far as where they're at in the game. So I've got some games well into the third quarter. I've got some games just going to half, just coming out. It's chaos here, Joe.
It's chaos. So if you were to pick one game, Dan, which you think is your best game right now, what is it?
Wow, I've got three that would vie for
All
the
right. Give
for
me
that
3 then.
title. All
I'll
right,
take 3.
so I we have Providence and Joliet Catholic. So Joliet Catholic is up 14-10 with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter, and they have had the ball the entire third quarter, I believe. That's
Okay.
that's not an exaggeration. I'm prone to exaggerate, but that is not an exaggeration.
All
I've
right.
got at halftime Nazareth 26, St. Francis 17, and what's been a really good offensive game, a lot of points. Kind of maybe what we thought about that game. And then I've got Bennett up 10-7 over DePaul Prep at halftime. That game just went to half, so late start there, Joe. That game's going to keep us company throughout the night.
Okay. All right. Let me let me talk about the big game first, Dan, that everybody's talking about. That is Loyola and Mount Carmel. Um, So Mount Carmel is up. Let's see. There's only 2 seconds to go in the first half. Mount Carmel is down. Actually, I'm sorry. 24-7 right now to Loyola. Loyola is really taking it to Mount Carmel in the first half here. They just kicked a field goal, um, to go up 24-7. But from a standpoint of who's kind of dominating the line of scrimmage here and the game, and just kind of the flow of the game, Loyola really looks good, Dan, against Mount Carmel. Again, they're up 24-7. Um, the other games I have going on, I've got St. Rita and IC. Another big game, St. Rita, right now, 28-0 over IC,
Wow.
right at the end of the first half. Um, Marist and Notre Dame. Marist 27-0 over Notre Dame in the first half. The other game I've got going on is Fenwick and Carmel, and Fenwick right now is 22-6 over Carmel. Going into or yeah, it's going into the second half here. So um, I don't have a lot of close games, Dan, but I've got some good games going on here.
Joe, the couple games I didn't mention, one that I'm watching, one that I'm following. So Montini's up big, 28-3 over St. Lawrence. So they've kind of dominated. Israel Abrams has been outstanding in this game, a true difference maker. And then the one that just following on social media, Brother Rice leads St. Ignatius 21-7 with 9 minutes and 23 seconds left in the third quarter.
Okay, yeah, and the other one I did not mention, Dan, was um, Saint Viator and Saint Patrick. We've got Saint Viator up 14-6 over Saint Patrick. Start of the third quarter. So that's all the games I have going on right now. Well, Marist just scored again. They are up 34-0, Dan, over Notre Dame. So they've got that game pretty much in hand, and that is at Marist.
Okay, so Joe Joliet Catholic just tried a 30-yard field goal. That field goal was missed. So with 3 minutes and 39 seconds after about almost 9 minutes of time of possession in the third quarter, they come up empty on that. So Providence defense holds. They now get the ball back at their own 20, right at the 20-yard line. So some interesting stuff happening here.
Yeah, and the just a score there now, Dan, by IC. There's 25 seconds left to go in the first half. This game started a little bit late, so it's 28-6 now. St. Rita over IC. Interesting game there, Dan, because as we talked about in our prognosticus episode, um, IC is at 4 wins, and I thought really if they want to feel a lot more secure about getting into the playoffs, they would need a win tonight. But they're down big now, 28-6. Now, I have heard that IC is probably has a good chance, based on the class that they're in, and I think that might be 3A. Of being one of those 4-win teams that can get into the playoffs, but I'm sure they would want a little better showing against St. Rita here. No matter what, but they're
Yeah.
down 28-6.
Yeah, you don't want to limp in, so that's for sure.
No, you don't, and there's Dave. Dave, you're
Hi,
out
Joe.
at
Hi, Dan. How are you guys?
We're
good,
doing
good.
great.
We're doing good.
Didn't have him pass complete
We're
to
doing
Aiden
good
Gibb.
out here.
There's a
We got
flag on the play.
28-3 score. The Broncos are up. We only have a little under 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
All right, and who's doing most of the damage on the Montini side, Dave?
So it's been a big time aerial attack tonight, and we have Isaiah Mason. He's come out. Number 2, Isaiah Mason. He's been doing a heck of a job. And C.J. Harkins as usual. And we have some splashed in with some Santino Florio. But it's been a pretty nice aerial attack tonight, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Israel Abrams looks really good, right, Dave? I mean, I watched the first half. He looks really good.
He sure does. He looks very
Because
very
it was a
comfortable.
hold against
Very
St.
comfortable.
Lawrence.
And it looks like quite honestly, it looks like he's having fun out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he ran for a
They moved
score
the ball
too in
back
the
to
first.
midfield.
He ran for a score too in the first half.
He sure
Second and
did.
20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sure did. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Well,
Yeah, and then the defense, like one thing I will mention is, when we got here today, we noticed that something was a little different when we first walked in. There was almost like a little bit of a mystique in the air, and then it turns out that Zuko was here at a practice, and let
he
me tell you
was.
something, guys. So these guys, this Montini defense, they came out. The hair was standing up on the back of their neck, and they had to let it go. So they want Zuko back, and they got a pig here for Zuko.
All
Oh,
right.
nice. All right. Sounds good. We'll make it back. We'll get back out to Lombard with Zuko.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you,
gonna.
guys. We appreciate what you do.
Yeah, Dave. Check in a little bit later if you can. All right.
You bet. You bet.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
guys. Take
Yeah.
care.
All right.
Take
You
care.
too.
Yeah. Bye bye. All right. So that was Dave Arian from the Montini game, Dan, and they're dominating. And if there's a team we could talk about that maybe has gotten better and better over the course of the year and is peaking right at the right time. I mean, would you say there's any other team other than Montini at this point, Dan?
Well, I think the game you're watching, Joe, Loyola.
Yeah,
So
maybe Loyola too.
I mean,
Mhm.
it was kind of shocking for them to come out and kind of get pushed around and beat down a little bit by East St. Louis, and then take that home loss to St. Francis. People thought, well, maybe Loyola isn't what we thought they were, and they have really come back and stormed back. You said they look outstanding tonight,
They
but
do.
Montini is the other team. They look really good. They're hitting on all cylinders. It has been, they're high school guys, so you hate to say, well, the change of quarterback made all the difference in the world, but their offense has really, really come alive since the change of quarterback to Israel Abrams, and their defense has just gotten better and better, and I think grown in confidence as the year has gone on. So, yeah, they're playing at a really high level.
Yeah, they are, and like we talked about, they're punching up a bit, right, Dan? I mean, Montini is probably going to be what 3A in the playoffs, and they are going up against 8A teams, 6A teams, 5A teams, and at this point in the season, they seem to be handling them. So, all of that points to what I'm sure they hope is a really good and deep playoff run.
Yeah, I think they're poised for one. They seem to have a good group. Everyone is really into it. We went out. We made a stop out there. We delivered our first Dog of the Week award to Isaac Alexander this week, and their fans, parents, coaches, very welcoming, are really into all this. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And like you mentioned, the other team, Loyola, who seems to be kind of peaking at the right time here as well. Part of that, I think, is due to obviously Fitzgerald coming back. He had an injury to his hamstring, and it didn't seem like it was anything too serious, but something that Coach Deschereaux just wanted to kind of keep him out and make sure he was healthy. And I think he even mentioned that we want him to be healthy for the playoffs. And he looks healthy tonight, Dan, against Mount Carmel. And it makes a huge difference for the Loyola team to have him there at the quarterback position.
Yeah, Joe, and some teams that are trying to work through a quarterback, struggle. St. Lawrence, right? So we've seen them kind of falter without Chase Kwiatkowski at quarterback. Now, number 2's playing tonight. I don't think it's him, but they look like a different team without him. So you see, we always talk about in every level, quarterback's the most important position, probably in sports, and so you really see how it makes a difference when a team loses their starter, and no matter what, there's going to be a drop off. So you see the good with Fitzgerald coming back. You see where it's more of a struggle when someone like Kwiatkowski goes down.
Yeah. And you've got a couple games at halftime, right, Dan? You've got what was the you mentioned the Bennett DePaul prep game. What's the
Yeah,
score of that
Bennett.
one at half?
That's still at half. That is 10-7 Bennett.
10-7 Bennett. All right. And I've got the Loyola Mount Carmel game, which is at halftime. There's about 5 minutes left to go in the intermission here. And that's 24-7. Loyola over Mount Carmel. We've got 34-0 Marist over Notre Dame. That is just in the start of the fourth quarter. I believe that's a running clock there now, Dan. St. Viator 14-6 over St. Patrick, and that is in the third quarter. It looks like about 6 minutes left to go there. Another game at the half is St. Rita and IC. St. Rita up 28-6 over IC. In the third quarter, we've got Fenwick and Carmel. Fenwick just scored again. They are up 29-6 over Carmel in the third quarter, and that spells trouble for Carmel, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah, they're stuck at 3 wins, right, Joe?
Stuck at 3 wins, and they were hashtag BATW for sure going into this game. I know I saw a quote from Coach McKee, and he said, we're not going to pay attention to any of that stuff. We're just going to go in and play the game, which is probably what you want, right? But, considering they went 10-2 last year, I think it was, to go to 3-6 this year in the regular season, that is a big drop off. I'm not sure how that happened. Do you think they got CCL, Dan?
They did. I do think that. Yeah, I think their schedule was a nightmare. I think they've lost a couple really close games. Now they've won one too, but against Providence. But they've dropped some close games, and so they really have been the victim of the CCL, in my opinion. I think they're way better than the 3-6 teams, and they'll be one of those teams that looks at the bracket and says, we could hang with a lot of those teams, if not beat them.
Oh, for sure. And if they had, if they were to be able to get a win tonight and get to 4 wins, even if they got into the playoffs with 4 wins, they'd probably be maybe a 15 or 16 seed, and they probably would make a lot of, do a lot of damage in the playoffs. But just doesn't look like it's in the cards for them this year. But they've got a ton of talent. We watch them play, and we watch. If you just look at the quarterback position and Trey Taylor, he's outstanding player. He's only a sophomore. I'm sure we'll be talking about him in the offseason on some of our future episodes, Dan, as far as some of the players, up and coming players in the Chicago Catholic League. But just watching him, he is, he's a difference maker, but just hasn't seemed to have made as much of a difference this year as they would have liked. So, it looks like they're going to miss out on getting to the playoffs.
Joe, talk about difference makers. Brady Palmer just under a ton of pressure, rolls to his left, throws a touchdown, beautiful pass deep in the end zone. Receiver catches it, gets a foot down. They score and convert the extra point. They're now down 2 to Naz. So with 9 minutes left in the third quarter, it is Nazareth 26, St. Francis 24. So that's a good one to keep our eye on.
For sure. Does that surprise you at all, Dan? That score? Or I mean, we know St. Francis. I mean, they came in 6-2, right? But again, we were talking a little bit about before we went on the air about the difference in class and those kinds of things and how it does make a difference. Is this game surprising you at all, or is it going how you thought it might?
When I look at St. Francis, I kind of see Naz of last year. They're junior loaded. They've got a ton of talent. A lot of it's juniors, and so they remind me of Naz this year. Now, I think they're both in the same division. I think they'll both be 5A. Yeah,
okay.
They'll both be 5A this year. So this could be a preview of something you see in the playoffs. No, it doesn't surprise me. I guess maybe the only way it would is because Naz has been just so dominant lately. They've just been crushing their opponents and looking really good. Now they're still scoring a ton of points, but they are so. The thing that doesn't surprise me is how many points have been scored. So both offenses are loaded. Both have a great passing attack. So that the score doesn't surprise me. It's a lot of points. We're looking at 50 points. Total with 8 minutes and 59 seconds to go in the third. So it's going to be a high scoring game.
Yes. And is it the usual cast of characters on both sides, Dan, as far as, who's making the difference on offense and scoring the points?
It is. The one thing I'll say, Naz has had a great running attack tonight. Lesroy Tittle, the guy really runs hard. He's big. He's tough to bring down. So I've seen a little bit more of that, but other than that, yes, all the same cast of characters from on both sides of the ball for both those teams.
All right. And the one thing we should probably mention, Dan, is there was a game last night between Marian Catholic and Rochelle, and I believe the final score was 48-23, Rochelle over Marian. So I think you and I both kind of thought that might be the case, although you might have picked Marian and
I did.
I picked Rochelle. But Rochelle now goes to 7-1. Outstanding team. Just from reading some of the stuff on the game last night, they seem to have an offense that is really good. They like to run the ball. They don't like to throw it all that much. But but Marian Catholic, what I was encouraged by is they scored 28 points. So I think Marian Catholic is. I think they're young. They're younger than I thought they were, Dan. When I looked at some of who's playing and who's making the difference on both offense and defense, so I think some of the last couple of games for Marian Catholic has shown that the future is probably pretty bright for them going into next year, because they've got some underclassmen in some key positions who are I think are going to make a difference, and hopefully make a difference in their record next year.
Yeah, they should be pointing to next year as kind of a bounce back year for them. Joe, score update: Joliet Catholic goes into score to make it 21-10 over Providence. That game is moved to the fourth quarter, 7 minutes and 53 seconds left. So Joliet Catholic up 21-10 over Providence.
And my assumption, Dan, is that Joliet Catholic is running and running and running, right?
No, they're throwing the ball all over the place.
All over the place, right?
Yeah. No, your assumption is right. They are pounding the football. They've thrown it a couple times, but they are sticking to their bread and butter for sure.
Yes, and you and I talked about that, Dan. That if they stick to their bread and butter and Providence is not able to, I think I said play the perfect game. They were going to have a tough time hanging with Joliet Catholic, and obviously there's still time to go here, but Joliet Catholic marching the ball down the field with the running backs in the running game and punching it in the end zone is no surprise to me. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing what they do. They are very comfortable in this type of game. Providence has improved offensively the past few weeks, but Joliet Catholic plays really strong defense. And very physical. So they are they're kind of doing what they do now. As we say that, Providence has a big game, big 35-yard pass down to the Joliet Catholic 45. So we can't write off the Celtics yet.
Nope, not yet. And hopefully they can find some offense. We know they've struggled a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, though last week they seemed to break through a little bit and were able to score some points against, was that Notre Dame or St. Pat's? I forget who they played, but we were wondering if that was going to carry over into this game, Dan. So, maybe they found something. But the one thing I was thinking about when we were talking about that game is, so you've got Joliet Catholic, who's 5A, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Naz, who's 5A, right? And then you've got St. Francis, who's 5A. That is going to be one heck of a bracket, or one heck
Is
of a
Joliet
blast.
Catholic 5A?
Didn't they play Naz last year for?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. So, that can change for sure.
Yeah.
It all depends on how. I mean, they just start at the top and go down 32 teams, go down another 32 teams, for the classes. So you never know, for some of those teams that are right on kind of the edge there, right on the bubble, where they might end up. But if those three ended up in 5A, boy, that's a tough class right there in the playoffs.
That 5A is going to be really, really tough. A lot of good schools. It's going to be one of the fun ones to watch this playoff season.
Yeah. All right, Dan, quick update on my scores here. Still, there hasn't been much change in the games I'm watching. It's 24-7 Loyola over Mount Carmel in the third quarter. This third quarter just started here. We've got Marist over Notre Dame, 34-0. This in the third quarter, about midway through the third quarter. Got St. Viator, 14-6 over St. Patrick, and that is coming up on the end of the third quarter. There's about two and a half minutes left to go there. You've got coming out to start the third quarter here, 28-6, St. Rita over IC, and about a minute and a half left in the third quarter. Fenwick 29 over Carmel 12. So that's the updates for those.
All right, quick rundown on mine. We've got Montini with a 28-3 lead over St. Lawrence, and I did confirm that is not Kwiatkowski playing quarterback for St. Lawrence. That's sophomore Ryden Lotus at QB. So that game is 28-3 in the third quarter. Maybe in the just started the fourth. You've got Nazareth 26-24. They're in the red zone for in St. Francis. So we'll see. It looks like it's 4th and 8 there. Joliet Catholic 21-10 over Providence, and you have Bennett with a 10-7 lead over DePaul Prep. So it looks like DePaul Prep turned the ball over. Boy, that's been the only thing really. Bennett's defense has played a lot better tonight, but DePaul has helped them with some unforced errors. I think just fumbled to turn it back over to Bennett. So Bennett will be 1st and 10. That game is with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. So Bennett's ball on their own 42-yard line.
Okay. All right, Dan. I think one thing, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but hold on one second. So this past week, who was our Zuko's Dog of the Week winner, Dan? This past week,
It was Will.
Will
Last name
Alt.
Alt. Will
Will
Alt.
Alt.
Yeah, at St.
Yes.
Francis.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you noticed anything in the game so far? I know it's hard to watch, specific players in some of these games because we're watching so many. But what does how does the St. Francis defense look against Nazareth?
It is not a ton of defense. Both these teams are so good offensively that it's a big time challenge to pick up stuff. So you can see interceptions, big plays defensively. What you can't see until you kind of rewatch the film is those guys who have done kind of the nitty gritty, the down and dirty of playing defense, setting the edge, getting off blocks, making plays. Forcing the issue so other guys can make plays. So you don't see some of that stuff. But there's been no one's really jumped out. I think there was an interception, but it was on the Nazareth. Nazareth linebacker had an interception at one point. So no one's really jumped off the page. There was a pick six in the Bennett game. By Jack Clevenger. I think that's his second of the year, which is pretty good. So
Yeah, that is good.
He was a dog pound member, one of those guys that seems to be around the football, and but no one jumping out defensively. Maybe Rouse for Joliet Catholic, but Joe, as I say that here, I'm gonna try and see if I can rewind this. Providence has just scored a long touchdown pass. AJ Rayford. Back of the end zone, great ball. Can't see who the receiver was. Number 1 for Providence. So they have a chance to go down 21-17, pending the extra point.
Pending the extra point. All right.
Yes.
And while we were talking there, Dan, Carmel scores a touchdown against Fenwick. Right at the end of the third quarter, there's about 16 seconds left to go here, and they missed the extra point again. So Carmel 12, Fenwick 29, coming up on the end of the third quarter. So that's an update there. Still 14-6, Vider over St. Patrick. Still 34-0. Marist over Notre Dame. 28-6. St. Rita over IC. And 24-7. Loyola over Mount Carmel. And that game is in the third quarter with 7 minutes left to go in that quarter.
Joe, quick scoring update on my end. Nazareth kicked a field goal to go up 29-24. St. Francis ball right at midfield. We've got 2 minutes and 12 seconds left in the third quarter in that one. Providence converts a 2-point conversion, so they get within a field goal. So 21-18 with 4:52 left in the fourth quarter. So 4:52 left in the game with Joliet Catholic up 3 points in the Holy War.
The Holy War, right? I saw that
between these two. Yeah. I've heard that before, but I had forgotten it until I read it again. I'm like, oh yeah, that is right. This game.
I had never heard that. I had never heard that until I read it. I think this past week, the Holy War, and I do like that, But as we mentioned in one of our earlier episodes, Dan, Providence is what #BATW. They got their 4 wins. Now they've got a shot with 4 wins, but they really would like to get this 5th win against Joliet Catholic.
Yeah, it would put them in for sure. And they are playing like it. So, Joe, they look like a team playing with BATW. They have been very feisty. I know that's a word we use sometimes, but to describe some of these teams, they look like it. They are out flying around, hitting people. They are going to leave it all out on the field tonight. So it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think they, I'm sure that's something they drilled into their heads this week in practice that, hey, we are down to the last game again. This is second year or 2 years in a row that we came down to the last game as far as trying to get into the playoffs. And, it's now or never. So hopefully they're playing like that, and it sounds like they might be, Dan.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a fun football game to watch. There's some big plays going back and forth. There's good offense, good defense. Joliet Catholic doing their thing. Providence being really stingy in the running game. They're forcing Joliet Catholic to go the long way. So this game is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Is there any information on the Ignatius game, Dan, or is that something we were not able to? I know that was one of the ones we were having trouble kind of getting, but and I haven't seen anything updated on X either for that
Joe, I've
game.
got a 21-7 Brother Rice lead in that game.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was in the third quarter. So we'll see if there's anything else updated. As I said, I was following that when that went on social media. So
Yeah.
as we say here, Bennett missed a field goal attempt. So DePaul gets the ball back, down 10-7 at Bennett with 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
Okay. Yeah. In the Ignatius, who are they playing again? I'm sorry, you just said it, but
Brother Rice.
Brother Rice. Yeah, so Ignatius, what, 3-5 for sure has hashtag BATW for them, and that's just to get to 4 wins. I know they would have a lot of playoff points, but in 8A, which is where they kind of end up, I'm not sure if 4 wins would even get them there, but they've got to at least get that. And we know how good Brother Rice has been playing over the last 3-4 weeks. So it sounds like that's continuing, and Ignatius is continuing to struggle a bit.
Yeah, it's they've gotten Catholic League too. When we looked at the schedule, I think in the summer we thought, well, they bumped up to the blue. St. Rita bumped down, wondering how that was going to look for them. It's kind of played out, maybe not how we thought. We thought maybe St. Ignatius was capable of hanging there, but they've struggled a little bit. So that's definitely been a challenge for Ignatius. So
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to pick out one thing this year, Dan, through the regular season, that's been the biggest surprise to you, uh, what do you think it would be? And again, I'm putting you on the spot. But
what jumps out? No, so I've got something. I've
all
got
right,
something
good.
here. Yeah, Carmel. It's Carmel. I thought that they were, I thought they were easily a 5-win team, and they're in the white division, which we thought early on was going to be really challenging.
Yes.
Yeah, it was going to be something, but. I would think that they are a team that it feels like they are much better than their record. So that's probably the biggest surprise to me so far.
Yeah, and I would say maybe not the biggest surprise, but one of the things that I've really noticed is, and you and I talked about this a little bit, is that the classes really do mean something. As far as if you're 8A, 7A, 6A, 5A, whatever, you watch a team that's maybe 3A or 4A and you think, gosh, they really look good. And then they go up against a team who's in 7A or 8A, and they don't look as good. Right.
Yeah.
Something happens to them, and so it makes a difference. Now there's some teams that are able to play up and win those games. We've got a couple examples of that this year. We talked about Montini being one of those teams this year, but I've really noticed a difference, and it's kind of been in the game I'm watching tonight with Loyola and Mount Carmel. I mean, this is just a one division difference here, 8A versus 7A, and you can notice a difference on the field as far as whether it's the size of the players, the talent level, whatever it might be. But there's a definite difference there in when you jump up in class.
Yeah, you're going to see that, and especially if you go and look at, we've got some classes that are going 3 and 4 up to play. And so that's going to be a really big challenge when you have a Marmion going to play a Marist, type of thing. That's a big difference in class. And
Yeah.
so, Joe, I had a game go final. Kind of surprised me. The final, it got on me quick. That's the Montini game. I believe at last score that was 28-3. So that game has gone final with Montini over St. Lawrence.
28-3 final.
28-3 final.
All right. Well, Montini finishes the way they want to. They're going into the playoffs, really on a high and peaking at the right time here. And it'll be interesting to see where they get seated, because their record is 7-2.
Yeah.
In the regular season, so they're going to be up there, right? They're going to be maybe not a 1 seed, but they'll be a 2 or a 3 seed, I would think.
Yeah, they are definitely going to be highly seeded. Joe, I'm distracted because St. Francis just goes in to score. They take the lead against Nazareth in the fourth quarter with 11:55 left. They convert on a 2-point conversion, so they now lead Naz 32-29.
32-29, and you said that's in the third quarter?
That's in the fourth quarter. So
Quarter.
Literally the first play of the fourth quarter, St. Francis scores, and they now have a 32-29 lead over Nazareth, and what would be definitely an upset brewing here.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I've just got another score here, Dan, in the St. Rita versus IC game, and St. Rita scores again. They get the extra point. They go up 35-6 over IC, and there's a minute 12 left to go in the third quarter. So that is a little bit more of a blowout than we probably anticipated, Dan. I for sure thought that IC was going to put up a bigger fight than this, but I say that with knowing how good St. Rita is, right?
Yeah.
But I thought, and this is another one, you've got IC who's class 3A, and St. Rita class
6 or 7.
6 or 7A. I think 7A. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, another one where, makes a difference, because we know both these teams are supremely talented, but, St. Rita seems to have the upper hand in this game.
Yeah. So, that's I've got some nail biters happening here. All these games are pretty close. So now Joliet Catholic is grinding it out here, as you'd expect them to do. Very comfortable in this close game, up 21-18 with the football. 2.5 minutes left in the game here, Joe. So Joliet Catholic looks like they're in a good spot. They're second and short, so they're starting to. The clock is definitely their friend. Bennett forced DePaul Prep to punt, turn the ball over on the first snap. So they now, DePaul Prep has the ball at the Bennett 20-yard line. It looks like it's 4th and 3. So DePaul Prep trying to decide what they're going to do here. Looks like they might be sending out the field goal unit. So to tie this game up. So that's a real close game. And St. Francis Naz. So that game is back and forth. Naz now moving the ball. They have first down into St. Francis territory, trailing 32-29 with 11 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Okay, and there's been a score, as we've been talking here, Dan, in the Fenwick Carmel game, and Fenwick scores again, and they go up 36-12 over Carmel. This game is in the fourth quarter with 12 minutes left to go in that game, but Fenwick seems to have that one in hand as well, 36-12 over Carmel with 12 minutes left.
All right, and I got an update online or on social media. Brother Rice kicks a field goal, 35-yard field goal from Brady Gomez to make it Brother Rice 24, St. Ignatius 7 with 5 minutes and 33 seconds left.
What was that score again, Dan?
Brother Rice 24, St. Ignatius 7.
7. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
St. Ignatius is tough to say. If you say it over and over again, it just kind of runs together. It's that.
Yes, it is.
I feel like there's a little bit of Italian there. Yeah. That is Saint
Saint
Ignace. Saint
Ignatius.
Ignace. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
Yes.
you're covering it and I'm not. Yeah. Yeah. Um, oh, okay. It looks like oh no, that's not a score. It looked like I thought Mount Carmel may have pushed the ball in here, but it looks like they're down to the Loyola inside their 10-yard line. Mount Carmel's still down 24-7 to Loyola. There's 12 minutes left to go in that game. The St. Rita IC game, which we just talked about, 35-6, Rita over IC. That game is still has a bit to go here. There's 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter. The St. Viator St. Pat game, St. Viator is driving. They're down inside the St. Pat 20-yard line, still up 14-6 over St. Patrick's. St. Pat's has we know their defense is good, and they seem to be holding St. Viator here. I thought this game was going to be a little bit more high scoring than this, maybe on the
Me too.
St.
Me
Viator
too, for
side.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just has not happened. But I don't know. We'll see what Viator can do. There's 8:45 left to go in that game. Like I said, Viator up 14-6. Viator, another hashtag BATW. They're at 3 wins. They've lost 5 in a row. So they really need this win to have any type of chance at all. And I'm not sure how much of a chance that is for them if they get to 4 wins to get into the playoffs. But, they definitely need to get this win. Actually, it's 14-12 is the score right now. 14-12, St. Viator over St. Pat's.
Oh, that's a good game. So yeah, Joe, and as you can't talk too long because there's going to be a score in Nazareth St. Francis. So Nazareth scores. Nazareth scores again. Long pass. Logan Malachuk to one of his many weapons. They go up 36-32.
Wow.
So there's some two-point conversions happening here. Field goal was good by DePaul Prep. That game is 10-10. Looks like Joliet Catholic, 35 seconds left. There's a timeout on the field, but they are. Let's see, it's 3rd and 2, so they're up 21-18 in the fourth quarter over Providence.
I always think about it after we do the Friday Night Blitz episodes, Dan, what game I would have wanted to be out at and watching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think tonight it would be the Naz St. Francis
Oh,
game.
yeah. It's a fun football game. And while there's a lot of scoring, you asked me about defense earlier. There's some big plays defensively. There's a lot of guys going above and beyond offensively, making something out of nothing happen. St. Francis running back had a great run, started one direction, stopped. He was stopped. It looked like a tackle for loss, redirected, scored a touchdown, about a 15-yard run. There's a lot of good stuff happening here. So pretty exciting football out in Wheaton.
All right. Well, good. And it looks to me like the Marist Notre Dame game has gone final, Dan. And the only reason I say that is because they're not showing the score anymore, and it looks like people are just standing around the middle of the field. So
they're milling around.
They're milling around. And if that has gone final, it's 34-0.
Okay.
Marist over Notre Dame. But I am finding this interesting how they're just kind of standing around maybe they're singing the fight song or singing the something else around the logo, the Marist logo on the middle of the field. Yeah. So, but the last score here, and I believe this is final, was 34-0, Marist over Notre Dame.
Okay, Joe, we're going to have a final here. Another timeout on the field, but Joliet Catholic did convert on 3rd and short, so they have the ball up 21-18 with 26 seconds left. I think they probably can take a knee, and they will secure that victory.
Who was that, Dan? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to you.
Yeah. Nobody does, just speaking it into the ether. That is Joliet Catholic. Yeah, they are lined up to take a knee, so that'll be the final. Joliet Catholic 21, Providence 18 in what was a really fun game too.
So, I wish I was a playoff guru as far as points and all that stuff is concerned, but I'm sure you've got to wait till the other games end around the state of Illinois, to really know what's going on, and we'll find out for sure tomorrow. But I don't think that bodes well for Providence and getting into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that can speculate and do that sort of thing, and probably come close. Susie can probably come close, but yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how things shake out.
It will
So
be, yeah. And from what I read, what I heard, if there is a 4-win team that gets in within the Chicago Catholic League this year, probably the team that has the best chance to do that might be IC.
okay,
They're still, well, right now they're down 35-6 to St. Rita in the third quarter. There's about 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter there, but St. Rita seems to have that game in hand. But that's the one team I saw in the CCL. There were some others who had a shot, with 4 wins. But it seemed to be that IC, if they could get that, or if they have their 4 wins, which they do, even if they lose tonight, that they might still have enough playoff points. If we got down to the 4-win teams and there was a tiebreaker, that IC would probably be able to do that. They'd probably go in as a 16 seed in that case. So I'm sure right now they got their fingers crossed, because this game is well in hand by St. Rita. Like I mentioned, St. Rita up 35-6 over IC.
yeah, IC has 43 playoff points.
Yeah.
So they have to be near the top of the list I mean, the only other team that has 43 currently is Naz. So St. Francis has 42. I mean, that whole division. Rita is 6 and going to be, or now 7-2. They had 39 coming into this. So I would think IC is in pretty good shape if things fall their way. So, Joe,
Yeah.
quick scoring update. Bennett goes in to score, touchdown. Ryan Kabaki pass. Not sure who that was to, but they go up to score pending the extra point. They will be leading either 16 or 17-10.
How much time left?
9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 9 minutes left in the game.
That is that's a good game too.
It is a good game. Yeah, I fully expect DePaul Prep to come down and give it a good shot. Like I said, both teams have kind of killed themselves a little bit. There's been some turnovers, and this is actually Bennett's first touchdown, so offensive touchdown. Their last score was a pick six. So the field goal is good. So or the extra point's good. Excuse me. So it's 17-10 Bennett. 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that would be let's see, for Bennett, if they were able to hold on here against a really good DePaul Prep team and, get this win, that would really be something that would be good for them going into the playoffs and wherever they end up or whoever they end up playing, because we know the last 2 games they've, maybe been discouraged a bit with a couple of blowouts against Fenwick and Naz. But to get a win over, and maybe a tough win over, a good DePaul Prep team, that would bode well for Bennett going into the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I think they'd feel better, and
for sure.
And
yeah,
they may already, with this, and just seeing, okay, we can still play the game. We're not just going to get blown out every time we get on the field. So I think they felt like this would be a better matchup for them. Still a really tough game. DePaul Prep, we've talked a ton about, how they're on the rise. Boy, Joe, you don't see this very often. First play, so Nazareth forces St. Francis to punt. Punts, They take over. First play, little stop route, 3-yard pass. St. Francis steps in front, picks off Logan Malachuk. guy goes down right away, but it is now 1st and 10. St. Francis down 36-32, 6 minutes and 46 seconds left. They will have their ball at the Nazareth 43-yard line.
Wow, that
So
is a
yeah,
game. That is a game.
it is a game.
Yeah.
It is that I'd like to know who stepped in front and picked off that pass. That was a big time play.
Yeah, and when we find that out, we'll be sure to let everybody know, Dan. We like to do that.
Yes, yes,
we do.
Whether it's letting him know that he made the dog pound or dog of the week or whatever it might be.
Yeah, even if it's not tonight, it'll be within the next couple of days.
Yes.
In our recap for sure. And a couple of scores as we're talking there, Dan. St. Vitus scores goes up 21-12 over St. Patrick in the fourth quarter. 6 minutes left to go in that game. St. Rita scores again over against IC. They are now up 42-6 over IC. Yeah,
wow.
that is
got to feel great for St. Rita. They're really good, super talented. Had a lot of stuff coming together for them over the past few weeks. Armbruster's been great. Receiving core has been outstanding. Nick Herman getting his legs under him again. So they're a really good group, and you hate to say underrated. A St. Rita team being underrated, but maybe a team that we hadn't really talked about too much, going into this. Wow,
right, or maybe not enough, right?
Not enough, yeah,
because
that's what I meant. Not enough,
yeah, because I think they're, well, if you look at the various rankings, we're at their top 10, right?
Yeah.
In the state of Illinois. And I always feel like when I see that, or I look at the rankings, that like, geez, we're not talking about St. Rita enough. They are really good. And, it's kind of a quiet, really good. But it shouldn't
voice
be.
is quiet, really good.
Right. Other people are talking about them. But good for them. I mean, we'll see what happens in the playoffs with them. They'll be, I keep thinking they'll be 8-8, but
Rita?
Yeah. Are they 7A maybe?
7A.
7A. Okay. Yeah. And as we're talking there, in the fourth quarter, with 6 minutes left, Loyola and Mount Carmel, score is still 24-7, Loyola over Mount Carmel. But Loyola is marching here again. They are inside the 6-yard line, Dan, 3rd and 3, against Mount Carmel. So they've really, in my opinion, Varsity Voice's opinion, they've dominated this game against Mount Carmel. They have. Really have. Yeah. I mean, they've out-physicaled them. Maybe outcoached them. I hate to say that, because I like all the coaches in the CCL, but they came ready to play. And this game is at Mount Carmel, and for Loyola to come in and do the things that they've done, control this game from beginning to end, has really been impressive to me.
Joe, and you were talking before we came on air about some of Loyola's players that maybe you've gotten a better look at, tonight, and specifically, it was a tight end, right? It was
Brendan Loftus.
Brendan Loftus, yeah.
Just you watch him, and I know he's a highly ranked player, highly recruited player, and we haven't talked about him all that much this year, Dan, just because I think Loyola has so many weapons, and they do like to rely on, obviously Fitzgerald, their quarterback, but he gets the ball a lot to Drew McPherson, who is a stud. But I watch Brendan Loftus, run routes, make blocks down the field, and he's 6'5" and maybe 250 pounds, and the guy can really run. He's quick, and I don't know where he's going, Dan, but they are going to get an outstanding player in Loftus.
Joe, another score update. St. Francis Brady Palmer, they're just turning the game over to him, scrambling around, making things happen. Throws about a 15-yard touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone. St. Francis with 4 minutes and 5 seconds left takes a lead over Nazareth, 38-36. We'll see what they do with the extra point here, but again, another score in this game, just unbelievable. This game, it's my sheet that I keep the score on is just an absolute mess.
Right. And as you were saying that, Loyola does score. Looks like Drew McPherson, a pass from Fitzgerald to McPherson, uh, puts them in the end zone again. The extra point is good. So Loyola in a bit of a surprise here, 31-7 over Mount
Wow.
Carmel, Dan. At Mount Carmel.
Jack Elliott playing.
He is playing. Yeah.
That defense has really, really turned it around.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is how now Loyola, they came out of the gate and they struggled a bit, right? And we talked about that,
and their pass defense as well.
Yeah, their pass defense as well. But tonight they look like the complete team, and I don't know who competes with them in 8A if they play like this. Going into the playoffs.
We haven't seen a lot of Lincoln Way East, who's the number one
That's
team
true.
right now. But that'll be interesting to see how that goes and how Loyola plays if they just continue to get better, which is what we've seen as the season has progressed. They seem to be humming right now, Loyola.
Yeah, they do. They do. And we talk about teams peaking at the right point of the season. And maybe you can say that about Loyola. Maybe you say it, or maybe you point to Fitzgerald, being slightly injured and not playing for a couple of games. And maybe now he's come back 100%. And the difference that has made in their team and what they've been able to do over the last several weeks is very evident to me going up against what I think is top 2 or 3 team in the state in Mount Carmel, at least up to this point. So
and Mount Carmel seems to have, since Jack Elliott got hurt, and they've had a little bit of changes in that spot. They seem to have lost a little bit of their mojo. They had it going on. Even in the loss to the Hun in the first game of the season, you were like, whoa, that is a really, really good and powerful team. That was so they seem to have maybe, since like the Naz game, maybe have kind of, I don't know, dialed it back, whether it's just happened to them or I'm sure it's not on purpose, but they seem to have maybe lost a little mojo. Little Austin Powers mojo lost.
Yeah.
For an old reference for us old timers.
Right. And as you're saying that, Dan, I'm wondering, do you think making the playoffs and knowing you're getting in the playoffs and to some extent knowing how good you are as a team can lead you to being a little bit lackadaisical, over the last couple games of the regular season, or not? I think about it from the context of when I was playing high school football.
Yeah.
Which is only about 16 years ago.
Give or take 30 years.
Give or take 30 years. But I don't think that would have ever entered into my mind at that point. So I'm wondering, do you think that's something which plays a factor at all?
It doesn't look like it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with some teams it does. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if, like I said, if anyone was rested on Mount Carmel. Joe, quick score update. 4th and goal. DePaul Prep. Juju Rodriguez. Guy makes it happen. Scrambling all over the place. Looks like he stopped. Finds an open receiver. Delivers it through 3 Bennett hands to score. They convert the extra point. That game is now 17-17 with 4 minutes and 33 seconds left.
Another good game, Dan.
Yeah.
I feel bad giving you these games. You got all the good ones. I got all the boring ones.
Yeah, well, I had it the last week.
Yeah, you did.
It was
You
blowout
did.
city out here in the suburbs, and so I've got two games. My head, if you're watching, it's just like on a swivel between the two games. Naz is driving. Um, yeah, they have it. They were just converted a third and four, down to the St. Francis 25-yard line. So there is 2 minutes and 5 seconds left in that game. DePaul Prep the game. That's 4 minutes and 33 seconds left in the game against Bennett. So two really good games that are kind of winding down with us this week. Great way
Yeah.
to finish the regular season.
It is a great way to finish. And I've got another game that went final, Dan, and that is the Fenwick versus Carmel Catholic game. Fenwick wins this game pretty easily, 36-12. You know, puts Fenwick at, is that 7-2 for Fenwick or 6-3? I'm not sure. But anyways, but what I do know is that Carmel goes 3-6, which is not good. Not good at all.
No,
We
they're
yeah,
out.
we would
Yeah.
not have thought of that at all starting the year this year, and looking at the teams and that, and the talent they had on the teams, and whether you say they got CCL'd or something else, but
Oh my
it just has
God.
not been a good year. Not a good year for Carmel.
Joe, another scoring update. I have to see what happened here.
Stop it. Will you please stop it?
Quick slant to Luke Doyle and Bennett. He takes it, let's see, that is 80 yards. So he takes it 80 yards for a score on the first play. So Bennett takes the lead. Let's see. Now I've got to go forward here. See if they convert.
So you're actually like convert or like forwarding and rewinding and stuff?
I am.
You're way better than I am.
Yep. Arrow keys, JKL. Yep.
You're good.
I've watched
really
a lot
good.
of film. Yeah.
You have. Yeah. And that's one of the things I've noticed, difference, Dan, between you and me. You've watched a ton of film. I have not. I casually watch stuff.
Right.
And you know how to go forward, go back, go forward, go back, and look. And that's not something that I'm really good at yet, but I will commit to getting better at that, Dan. Just so you don't drop me as a co-host.
And it started, Joe, years ago with reel to reel. Just like you back in the day, yeah, it was reel to reel as a player. That was in college. So, Joe, quick update. So we've got Naz 4th and 29 with 53 seconds left, down 39-36. So they are do or die here.
All right.
Yeah. So, and Bennett has a 24-17 lead. They convert the extra point. That game has got some time left, 4 minutes and 16 seconds. But this Naz game, this is Naz St. Francis game. This is something else. So this is not only the best game tonight, it's one of the best games I've seen all year. There's been some really good one. It is back and forth. I'd love to know who made that defensive play. That is definitely someone for St. Francis who could end up in the dog pound. So big plays at big times. That's definitely a recipe to get in the pound.
All right, and I've got one score update here in the St. Rita IC game. Got St. Rita 42, IC 13. There's 11:45 left to go in that game, Dan.
That game started late.
It did. I don't know why it did. I think there was some message from one of our correspondents about why it started late. It might have been senior night or something like that.
Yeah.
But 42-13, St. Rita over IC, 11:45 to go. Couple of my games that have gone final are, let's see, the Fenwick Carmel game, 36-12. Fenwick over Carmel in that game. We've got the Marist Notre Dame game. I believe that was 34-0. Marist handles Notre Dame. So that one's final. Still going on. We've got the Loyola Mount Carmel game. 31-7. Loyola over Mount Carmel with 2.5 minutes to go in that game. So that one's essentially done as well, Dan. And that's for a game that everybody was looking towards, thinking that it was going to be, really a close one of two really good teams. Loyola has gone to Mount Carmel and just really handed it to them, and on both offense, defense, and physically, I feel like they've just handled Mount Carmel as well, which is a surprise to me.
Yeah. Well, Joe, here we have 4th and 29. Logan Malachuk drops back, kind of a Hail Mary type situation, throws it into the end zone. It is intercepted by St. Francis in the end zone. And it looks like maybe it was intercepted. Maybe he knocked it down to get the ball all the way back. It looks like he did. So knocks the ball down, incomplete. St. Francis takes over, up 39-36 with 44 seconds left. It looks like they will come out victorious. I think Naz had to burn some timeouts to get to that 4th down play. So St. Francis victory formation, big win over Nazareth. Big win. Helps
Huge
playoff seedings. Really upsets the balance of power in the top of the rankings. This is a big one. This one has some reverberations to it within the out in the suburbs here, part of the Catholic League.
It does, and you and I both picked, I think, Naz in this game, and for obvious reasons, Dan. I mean, Naz has been outstanding over the course of the year, but we've seen how well St. Francis has been able to play in some of their games, and even some of the spots or some of the halves in some of the games. So, it seems like maybe they put it all together tonight.
Yeah, they sure did. And that game has gone final, Joe. They are shaking hands. So final from St. Francis. St. Francis upsets Nazareth 39-36. So that's a big one. It was a great football game. Really, really entertaining. I wish I could have been there. It was that kind of game. So that both those teams now move to 7-2. So St. Francis improves to 7-2. Naz falls to 7-2. So we'll see what that does for the pairings as we move throughout this weekend.
Yeah. So I've had Dan 2 more games that have gone final here. We've got the Loyola and Mount Carmel game final, 31-7. Loyola over Mount Carmel. So a big win for Loyola.
Big win.
Big statement win for them. Got a final St. Viator and St. Patrick. 21-12. St. Viator over St. Patrick in that game. So St. Viator gets their 4th win. Not sure if that's going to be good enough for them to get into the playoffs, or they're going to have to cross their fingers tomorrow night and see what happens. But
yeah, they only had 32 playoff points coming in.
Yep.
So that might be too much to overcome here for them to get in.
Yeah,
boy, they started out 3-0. That is a tough way to finish for St. Viator.
It is, and I feel for their seniors, because I know at the beginning of the season, and we interviewed Coach Archibald before the season started. We know they had really big goals and big objectives for this year, and it just didn't seem to come together for them. Even though they started out 3-0 and they were scoring a ton of points, once they got into some of the the meat of their schedule and some of the more difficult teams, they just didn't seem to be able to stack up against some of those teams.
Yeah, it just was too much. Joe, and a quick score update. Wow, this is a tip ball intercepted by Marty Radgowski. We haven't called his name in a few weeks. He takes it to the house.
Woo!
So over, let's see, that is about a 53-yard touchdown return on an interception. So with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in that game, Bennett is up. We'll see if they converted. Let me fast forward here. My fancy fast forwarding skills. They do convert the extra point to go up 31-17 with 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Now, DePaul can score. They've got some guys that can really go get it and throw it and catch it and run it. So I wouldn't put this one over yet by any stretch. But Bennett looks to be in a really good position out in Lisle tonight.
Yeah, so I meant to ask you earlier, Dan, if Bennett was 100% healthy, meaning they got their guys back playing primarily. Marty Radgowski, who we know how well he's done earlier in the year. He was both on offense, defense, special teams. He was kind of their all-purpose guy. And then I know they had an offensive lineman out. Who was that? Was that Quinn?
He was a linebacker, I think. Quinn
okay.
Devine is linebacker.
Quinn Devine, yeah.
They aren't. So they don't. There's no Luke. Yeah, we talked about with Bennett.
Luke
we talked about the Lukes.
Yeah.
So no Luke Wilds tonight, and we know Marty Radgowski's been banged up. So we early in the year it felt like every other highlight was Marty Radgowski scoring in some way, shape, or form, and really you could tell that that's changed over the past few weeks. And he's just been hurt. So that's a big play for him to kind of announce that he's back and able to help that team. So big deal for Bennett. We'll see how it closes out here. Again, up 31-17 with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, and that would be I don't know. Would you consider it? I don't know if you consider it an upset, Dan. Bennett over DePaul Prep, or I think in our predictions or prognosticus episode, we talked about how evenly matched these teams were. Especially if Bennett was at, had some of their key players back. So even though DePaul Prep has played really well this year, we know what Bennett could do, especially earlier in the year, as far as scoring points. Not just on offense, but like you just mentioned, on special teams and on defense. So I'm not sure if this is just two evenly matched teams and Bennett comes out on top with a couple of key plays, or if there's something else here or not.
Joe, is this game for the Purple Division title?
It is. It is.
Yeah,
so,
I think they are pretty evenly matched. I think we both may have picked. Did we both pick DePaul at the beginning of the year? Or I'm trying to think of who we picked, or Viator. That's we'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, they play a similar style. That's yes. They both rely on heady, undersized, really really good quarterbacks that find a way. They're awesome competitors. You watch Juju Rodriguez, Ryan Kabaki. Their level of competitiveness is up here. They are so, and with really skilled receivers. We thought defensively early in the year, Bennett's strength might be D-line. Looks like DePaul Prep had some good offensive linemen. So yeah, I would say pretty evenly matched. So it's but two defensive scores for Bennett tonight.
That's big.
So that's big. They have not played well defensively, so I'm sure it's good for them. So, Joe, we've got a little lull here, timeout on the field. Maybe we can go through some of the other scores, get people caught up with just getting in their car.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go through mine first, Dan. In the games that I've covered, and there's really only one game left here that's still going on. The rest of them have gone final. So let me talk about those first. I've got the Mount Carmel and Loyola game, and this is a final 31-7. Loyola beats Mount Carmel. Uh, Loyola with a big game tonight. Fitzgerald was back, looked completely healthy. It showed on the field. They dominated Mount Carmel tonight, and they win this game 31-7. The Marist Notre Dame game, that's final as well. And Marist handles Notre Dame fairly easily, 34-0. Shuts out Notre Dame. Marist looked good in doing that, so they go into the playoffs next week on a high, which is good for them. The other game, which I was covering in its final, was St. Viator wins 21-12 over St. Patrick. So St. Viator gets their fourth win after losing 5 in a row. And we'll see what that does for them in the playoffs, or in the playoff pairings, whether or not they can make it or not. But they win 21-12 over St. Pat's. The other game, Fenwick and Carmel, final on this one as well. Fenwick 36-12 over Carmel. I think that makes Fenwick 7-2. If I'm correct
Yeah,
on
you
that,
are.
Dan.
You're
Yep.
correct. Yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Carmel, that puts them at 3-6. Tough year for Carmel this year, but again, that final score is 36-12. I've got one game still going on, and that is St. Rita and IC. There's 5.5 minutes left to go in this game, and St. Rita has this game pretty well in hand, 42-20. They are up over IC, like I mentioned, with 5.5 minutes to go in that game.
All right, Joe, quick scoring update. DePaul Prep gets a 45-yard touchdown pass from Juju Rodriguez. He's just amazing. He reminds me not only of Ryan Kabaki, but Logan Malachuk too. He just gets out of trouble and finds open guys, eyes always downfield. So with a minute and a half left in that game, it is Bennett 31, DePaul Prep 24, probably lining up for onside kick. We'll see if the hands team. Quickly going through other scores from earlier games. Joliet Catholic defeated Providence 21-18. Gives Joliet Catholic their 6th win. Providence stuck on 4 wins, so they'll be doing some math tomorrow and some hoping. Montini easily defeats St. Lawrence 28-3. Securing Montini or bettering Montini's position. St. Lawrence is in with 6, but their seed will drop. In the game of the night, St. Francis 39, Nazareth 36. So they are that game came down to the wire, back and forth, just unbelievable plays from great players all over the field. In a game that we followed on social media, Brother Rice, I believe that was a final, defeated St. Ignatius 24-7, and I think that was it, Joe. That is all my games.
That's all your games, and
we have a game tomorrow. Well, Joe, before we go there, Bennett, DePaul Prep did onside kick. Bennett did recover. So I don't know it looks like DePaul Prep has all their timeouts. So Bennett is going to have to run some offense here to see if they can do anything. And DePaul Prep stuffs them on the first play. So they'll call a timeout with 1 minute and 20 seconds left.
So that's going to come right down to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm guessing DePaul Prep will get another possession. So yeah, that'll come right down to it. Force Bennett to execute a punt and see what they can do. So
yeah, and if Bennett could get 1 first down here, right? I mean, that would pretty much seal the game. But
it would.
Yeah. And, I've got one game still going on here as well, Dan, too, and that is the St. Rita IC game. There's 3.5 minutes left to go in that game. St. Rita trying to control the ball here and run out the clock. They are, let's see, there's 3:30 left. It's They just got a first down. They had 4th and 6 to go, Dan, at the IC 45-yard line, and Nick Herman, it looks like it was Nick Herman, gets the picks up 7 yards and gets a first down for St. Rita here. They're up 42-20 over IC. Like I said, 3 minutes left. Pretty much in control of this game now with that first down.
All right, yeah, that game. That's been the surprise, kind of one of the surprises that we've seen. I think the Fenwick Carmel game has been a surprise. But that one with IC, at the 4-win mark, they're going to have to rely on math. Now the math is in their favor, so they had, I think we said 43 playoff points going into tonight. So they should be in great shape if some 4-win teams get in.
Yeah, I think if they're a 3A, I think a 3A class team, which they might be. From what I read, there might be 5 or 6 as of going into the games tonight, open spots. So obviously they've got to see the other 4-win teams how they may have done tonight. And that may change things, but like you said, if it comes down to a tiebreaker and a 4-win team getting in, IC is in a pretty good spot. Just because of the number of playoff points they have, which you mentioned is 42, 43 playoff points. So, it looks like they are, they're going to drop this game to St. Rita. St. Rita's played really well, both sides of the ball. They've moved the ball on offense. They've been able to score points. Obviously, they've got 42 points. Their defense has played well. They kept IC, held them down to 20 points. So St. Rita playing like they have throughout the year, and it looks like they're going to come away with a win here. There's only a minute left to go in that game.
They're really talented. They're
There.
really talented. They seem like they're very well coached. They're going to be a really, really tough out. I would not want to play them, in the early rounds of the playoffs.
No, I wouldn't either. So anything you're interested in seeing tomorrow night, Dan, as far as the playoff pairings are concerned? Anything with any of the CCL teams as far as, I don't know, where they might get seated or who they might go up against? Anything that kind of stands out to you or something that you're looking forward to hearing about tomorrow night?
Well, here's what I hope doesn't happen, and this is like a conspiracy theory that
Yeah.
coaches have in the Catholic League, is that they think the state sometimes tries to pit them against each other if they can early on in the playoffs, so they don't have a bunch of CCL teams going on. So that's something that I think is kind of a, I'm sure it's not true. But I would hope that you see some different games, right? You'd hate to see some of these teams first round play a team they played 2 weeks ago, in the conference, just because part of the excitement of the playoffs is seeing these different schools, and maybe if you travel to that school and it's something different, and so it's that's exciting, and I would just hate to see too many Catholic League schools. I know you can't avoid it all the time, but I would hate to see them all pitted against one another, right away.
Yeah, and
or a bunch of them.
Yeah, me too. I would hate to see that as well. What class will Bennett be in? What will they? Will they be 6A or 5A?
I think they're 5A.
So, would we have Naz, St. Francis, Bennett, and Joliet Catholic all in 5A?
Naz, St. Francis, Bennett, Joliet Catholic.
I mean, they could be. They could be, right?
Yes.
But if that were the case, and I'm just doing some math in my head, and this may not end up anywhere close to where things are tomorrow night after the pairings come out, but Naz, after losing tonight to St. Francis, St. Francis goes to 7-2. Naz is now 7-2. You've got Joliet Catholic, which is 6-3, right? And you'll have Bennett, which is 6-3.
Maybe
So,
that game's not over yet.
that's not over yet.
No, not over yet. 30. DePaul has the ball back at their own 25-yard line. So that they're looking at 3rd and 10 with 55 seconds left. So it's still in question. But Joe, one team you haven't mentioned, Providence could be 5A. So I mean that could be where they end up.
If they're 5A with only 4 wins, and just with if the 4 other teams we just talked about are in 5A, I think Providence is probably out of luck. The team that probably will get some luck here is probably IC if they end up 3A with 4 wins. I would be surprised if there's any other 4-win teams in the Chicago Catholic League that end up getting in. But, obviously it depends on what some of the other 4-win teams did tonight throughout the state of Illinois, in the different classes. Because, if some of them lost, then that puts the Chicago Catholic League teams in a better position just because of the number of playoff points they tend to get. But if a couple of those win and get the 5 wins, then it's going to push out some of these teams. So.
Yeah, that will definitely push some of these out. And if there were, I think 25 or 40 or some ridiculous number that could get to 5 wins, throughout the state.
Right.
So depending on the different sizes and that'll determine what happens with the pairings. But yeah, it's going to be chaotic. And I've talked a lot in the past few weeks about coaches putting pencil to paper, and maybe we'll make that a little more current reference, having their spreadsheets out and doing the math and seeing where everyone is at. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting night.
It is. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you and I will be watching or covering it a bit, Dan. We're not going to do anything live or anything like that, but in our recap episode, which is coming up over the weekend and probably come out on early Monday morning, we'll have all that information for everybody. All my games have gone final, Dan. St. Rita IC game is now over. That is 42-20. St. Rita over IC. What's the Bennett DePaul Prep?
There is 21 seconds left. DePaul Prep got a first down on a penalty, late hit out of bounds on the quarterback, and it looked like there was a holding penalty on DePaul Prep. Bennett hit the quarterback running out of bounds, so the holding penalty comes, and then they march the 15 yards off. So DePaul Prep has the ball 1st and 10 at their own 40. Oh, wow!
There can't be much time, right?
No, unbelievable. So this is unbelievable, this finish. So it looks like they get a quarterback sacked. Rodriguez gets out of it. He literally is you could see jersey in the Bennett player's hands, gets out of it, rolls to his right, completes a pass down to the Bennett 25-yard line. So there's 8 seconds left, Joe, and this will come down to one play here for DePaul Prep to see if they can tie this game up. The teams look pretty tired, so both these defenses have been chasing around these quarterbacks, and so it looks pretty tired. They look pretty tired out here. So
yeah, I'm tired. Just I'm all tensed up listening to it, and like, oh my God, this is gonna go right down to the last couple of seconds. What is 31-24?
31-24.
31-24. 8 seconds left. DePaul Prep at the Bennett 25-yard line.
First down.
Down.
No timeouts.
Anything else you could throw in there?
There's a dog on the field. Zuko's on the field.
Oh my
No,
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. But I don't know. That's one of the things that's really fun about high school football. Uh, Especially at this time of year when everybody's scrambling for whether it's a playoff spot, better seed, whatever it might be. And both these teams are squarely in that conversation. They're both in the playoffs, but
yeah. So Joe, it's going to go final here. The interception in the end zone for Bennett. Juju Rodriguez, got hit as he threw, but man, he is a tough player. He is that kid is something else. And I don't know what his plans are for college, or if he plays another sport. He is a hell of an athlete.
yeah.
And as tough a competitor as they come. But he gets intercepted in the end zone. Bennett takes over at their own 20. 2 seconds left. They will take a knee, and this one will be final. Bennett 31, DePaul Prep 24.
Wow. That is an outstanding game, Dan.
Yeah, that was also a fun one to watch. I had some really good games. My game, that wasn't decided in the last seconds. Joliet Catholic 21, Providence 18. That was a fun game. That was a lot of fun to watch. Really back and forth, especially in the first half. Joliet Catholic opened up a 21 to 10 lead. Providence scored on a big play, converted to make it 21-18. Just could not get the ball back afterwards. So that was tough. Montini, that was my game that wasn't in question ever. Montini 28, St. Lawrence 3. Montini kind of dominated from the start. St. Lawrence still without some key players offensively. Tried to hang in there defensively. Israel Abrams was outstanding in this game, especially in the first half. Threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another. Then the game of the night, one of the games of the night, St. Francis 39, Nazareth 36. So definitely an upset, even though Francis is a really good team. But St. Francis, another giant killer. They're a giant killer this year, beating both Loyola and Nazareth when they were in the top 5.
Yep, for sure.
Joe, and then I have Brother Rice 24, St. Ignatius 7, and that was when we were following on social media. So not sure if that ended up the final. That was the last we saw of the score, though. So
okay, is that all your games, Dan?
that's it.
All right. So let me go over mine one more time, and then we can let everybody go and enjoy the rest of their night. What do you think of that?
Yes, I think that sounds good.
All right. So we've got the Mount Carmel Loyola game. This game, Loyola wins 31-7 over Mount Carmel. This game was at Mount Carmel. Loyola dominated most of the night on both sides of the ball. Where I really noticed it was up front on the offensive line and defensive line. Loyola played a really good game. They go to 7-2. Mount Carmel moves to 6-3. But again, the final for that score: Loyola 31, Mount Carmel 7. The St. Rita IC game. St. Rita wins this game 42-20. Another kind of dominating performance for St. Rita. They controlled the game. Most of the game, IC scored a touchdown late, or else this score would have looked a little bit worse. But St. Rita 42-20 over IC. IC goes to 4-5. We've talked about what that might mean for their playoff chances, but we'll see tomorrow night with the playoff pairings. But again, 42-20, St. Rita over IC. Marist has a 34-0 win over Notre Dame. We kind of called this game, Dan, and thought this is what was going to happen, and it did. So again, 34-0, Marist over Notre Dame. St. Viator and St. Patrick. St. Viator pulls this game out. They break their 5-game losing streak and they win this game over St. Patrick 21-12. St. Viator gets their 4th win. They go to 4-5. Just not sure that's going to be enough for them as far as getting into the playoffs. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow night with the parents. And then the last game is the Fenwick Carmel game. Fenwick wins this game against Carmel 36-12. Fenwick goes to 7-2. Outstanding regular season for them. I'm sure they're looking forward to the playoffs. Carmel, they go to 3-6. Bit of a surprise here, definitely out of the playoffs, and probably have to regroup here now before next year. But final game for final here for Fenwick versus Carmel is 36-12.
Yeah, so some great games, Joe. We had a lot of fun. This has been an awesome regular season of Friday Night Blitz. Just to let everyone know, we will not be doing Friday Night Blitz next week. So we'll see if we can't pick that up as the playoffs advance. But so no Friday Night Blitz, unfortunately, next week. But this regular season has been awesome.
It has. I've really enjoyed it. It's been awesome. It's gone by really quick, as you and I talked about, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. From the preseason through the season and, all the Friday Night Blitz episodes for every week. It's really been fun. We've enjoyed covering it for sure. We've enjoyed covering the schools and the players, and we'll continue to do that. I know we won't be doing Friday Night Blitz, but we'll do our recap episode, Dan, which will be coming up in the next couple of days.
How about can we do some programming here?
Yeah, let's do it right on air. Come on.
Yeah, why don't we do a look at the first week of playoffs?
Sweet.
So, I guess we'd normally do that. You know what? Forget that because we'll do that with our prognosticus later in the week.
All right.
So we'll still have recap. We'll still have prognosticus. We just won't have Friday Night Blitz.
All right. So nothing's changed.
It's 10:39. Come on.
I know. And I've been it's 10:39 and it's getting late. I know all of that, Dan. Yeah, so the only thing we won't do is the only thing we won't do is Friday Night Blitz. That's changed. Yeah,
that's changed. And so next week, Joe, this week we did our first presentation of Zuko's Dog of the Week Awards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that is out there on our social media. It was interesting. He was just as you'd expect a defensive dog to be, but all's well that ends well. We're going to do some more this week. We're going to try and get out to a bunch of programs and see if we can't get some of these awards delivered. We had them shipped in, so let people behind the scenes, and we were worried they were prime product during the longshoreman strike. So we were really, really worried that Zuko's awards were going to be delayed, but they got here, and we delivered one to Isaac Alexander, our week 1 winner, and we'll do the same. We'll pick Zuko's Dog of the Week for week 9. So yeah, we still have a lot of fun stuff to do.
Yeah, we do. And who knew, that dog tags were one of the more popular items and on back order, right?
Right.
But that didn't stop us. And like you said, we got out to Montini this week. We took Zuko with us. He delivered the dog tags to Isaac Alexander, our week 1 Zuko's Dog of the Week winner. And we've got a lot of work to do, Dan, you and I. We've got weeks 2 through 9 now that we got to get out there.
Right. Yeah. So this week we might have to do a little Chicago style and double up on the winner, or do something close.
Maybe. I don't have a dog. I don't have Zuko.
Right.
I can bring a
Yeah.
picture of him, but you
Yeah.
know
There
what?
you go.
Yeah, when I watch what happened at Montini, I think
Right.
Zuko's got to be there.
They're going to want us out there. So yeah.
Oh, for
So
sure.
we'll get it worked out. We're going to be at Marist Monday night for Brad Fitzgibbon, week 2, and we'll see if maybe there's a couple we can do in one day.
All
So
right.
all
Sounds good
right.
to me. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
up for it, Dan. All
Okay.
right. So, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening tonight. Thank you for listening throughout the year, the regular season. We're excited about the playoffs. We're not going anywhere. We will be here with some of our usual episodes. So make sure you tune in and listen to us going forward. Make sure you like us and follow us and subscribe to us wherever you're listening from, whatever you do. Make sure you comment on all social media because we're out there. And we'd love to hear from you. But most of all, we appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you soon.